Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paragon Guide. I am Sylphin. In this video we are taking a look at health versus armor, what you all have been waiting for. We take a look at the math behind these two stats and see which stat is better. How much do we get of each? So if you have ever wondered about health and armor here in Monolith, this is the video for you. So ladies and gentlemen, very quickly I want to explain the formula here that is going on in the math. This is where I made a boo-boo in the recent video that I have since recently taken down, so if you have seen that, I apologize. I made a mistake. So total damage taken equals 100 divided by your armor plus 100. So if we have 100 total armor, the formula then looks like 100 divided by 100 plus 100, 100 divided by 200, which is 0.5. This means 50% of the total damage taken from an enemy attack. That is what is reduced by 100 total armor. So if we want to calculate total effective health, this is where I made the boo-boo before. 1,000 total health times 1 divided by 0.5 equals 1,000 times 2 equals 2,000 total effective health. That is the math there. That is the boo-boo I made before, and I am trying to atone for it. So guys, some statements here about health and armor that we need to make to really help us understand this math. Statement number 1, both health and armor serve to increase your total effective health points. They just do it in different ways. Statement 2, more health means a larger pool of hit points the enemy has to eliminate before you die. Statement number 3, more armor, though, means you take less damage from enemy attacks, making your health more valuable. Now, more health has been used in certain strategies for lifesteal and health regen to kind of make them a little bit more valuable. And you'll see later on there's a little implication for that as well. Statement number 4, all heroes have the same amount of ability armor, but most heroes have different amounts of basic armor. So with that said, we can go over here, we can take a look at all of the heroes here, casters, supports, these guys, and you can see that at level 15, they have different levels of health, different levels of basic armor, but the same ability armor. And we will explain these numbers in a moment. So this is the stats here that is up to bat. So we currently have one of these guys here in the shoot here, 1691 health with 31.5 basic armor. Now here is the math. With this base stats, we have 2,224 effective HP. Now if we go down and add 1 basic armor, we can see that that's actually better than adding health. Adding armor is still better, adding armor, etc., 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 until we reach a point here where adding armor isn't better. Adding health is. And then we can see that it actually follows a very nice stepwise motion. A 1-to-1 ratio between health and armor is revealed after we have a huge base of basic armor. Basically, we have a fair amount of health in terms of base armor. So it's actually quite interesting of a find here. You need quite a bit of basic armor in order for health to actually start increasing your effective HP. Now we can do this with the other stats here for these heroes, and we get something else. We see that Rampage, Fengmao, and Greystone, and casters and supports don't need as much basic armor in order for health to start working for them. You can see that they need to add a little bit less basic armor here at level 15 in order for health to actually start working for them, simply because I believe that is because they have less health and they have less basic armor. So I think relative to each other just works out that that is the case. Now there is a special pink kind of tanny color in here that I did that just because Rampage, Fengmao, Greystone, and casters and supports, they kind of overlap here. So when you are pausing this video, taking a screenshot of this, trying to figure out, doing the math on your own, trying to figure out that optimum amount of CP for your build, it's just keep that in mind. They do overlap a little bit. So for example, casters and supports go like this, whereas Rampage, Rampage, Fangmount, Greystone go like this. Just keep that in mind. They do overlap when you are finding, you know, that optimum ratio of basic armor to health. So what are some trends that we find from the math? Well, the first trend, one needs 12 to 16 CP's worth of base armor before adding health is better than adding basic armor. That's at level 15 though. At level 15, one needs 12 to 16 CP's worth of basic armor before adding health is better than actually adding armor. Now, why did I say at level 15? Simply because when you add in the stats of heroes at level 8 into here, you will see that they actually don't need that much basic armor in order for health to start being better. These guys only need 8 CP worth of armor in order for health to start being, you know, better, and then they can upgrade that 1-to-1 ratio. Rampage, Fangmount, Greystone only needs 7 CP's worth of basic armor before health. You know, you can go down that 1-to-1 ratio path. Casters and Sports, they're 5. So they're in that early game, in the mid game, you don't need that much basic armor in order to start adding health. So just keep that in mind when you are optimizing your early and mid game builds. Trend number 2, the ratio of health to armor is 1-to-1. Really nice. It's 1-to-1 after you have that 12 to 16 CP's worth of armor. So just when you're trying to do that do that math in your head, just remember the ratio of health to armor is 1-to-1 after you have that 12 to 16 CP's worth of armor, depending on who you are. So there you go. Trend number 3, building 20 to 32 basic pen is quite safe for most fighters, for anybody that deals a lot of basic damage. That is really safe. 20 to 32, because you know that Casters Sports have that anyways. Having this amount of additional basic armor then as an option in your build is critical. You need a flexible 20 to 32 amount of basic armor sitting there as an option in your build. You need it simply because armor is powerful. It's really powerful here in Monolith, so you need that flexible armor in order to be the most effective. Now, something very interesting happens when we go to ability armor. Ability armor, everybody actually has the same amount. All heroes have 30.5 ability armor. Now, when you plug in that base armor with, you know, certain levels of health, something interesting emerges. Our ability armor is worth less per CP, so that is definitely a consideration and definitely affects how the relationship between health and armor exists, but something very interesting emerges. You can see that for these tanks and these green guys and for these yellow guys, it's almost an exact 1-to-1 ratio. The green guys here are basically a 1-to-1 ratio with maybe 1 additional CP into ability armor, whereas the Rampage, Fangmount, Greystone are just 1 CPs on the health side of being 1-to-1. So it's very, very interesting that it's pretty much straight down the middle, almost a 1-to-1 ratio there for ability armor and health. Very interesting. Casters and Sports, they're a little skewed to the health side. They need about 4 health, and then you can start going 1-to-1. Very, very interesting for ability armor. I wasn't really quite expecting that. What are some trends then? Trend 1, one needs 0 to 4 CP's worth of health in order for building armor to be better than adding health. Which, I mean, you're going to get health on cards anyways, so, I mean, really, it's not that great of a consideration. But remember, that is at level 15. That is at level 15. So, when you actually enter the stats for being at level 8 or so, there in that late early game, early mid game, it changes. You do need 8 to 12 CP worth of health in order for ability armor to actually start being better than health. So you need a fair amount of health here in the early and mid game in order for ability armor to actually be better than health. So just keep that in mind. You need a fair amount of health in that early and mid game in order for ability armor to actually be better than health in terms of increasing your effective HP. Trend 2, ratio of building armor to health is 1-to-1 after this base health has been added. And of course, when you are tweaking your end game build and you don't need that high amount of health from the early game, when you replace those health cards from the early game, you can build a little bit more armor to have that 1-to-1 ratio. Ability armor is really nice. It's basically a 1-to-1 ratio with a few CP skewed to the health side if you are these folks over here. Trend 3, building 30 ability penetration is very safe for casters because everybody has the same base amount. So a caster knows if they build 30 penetration, that's 30 guaranteed points of damage, which if you go and watch my damage versus penetration video, you will learn that penetration is actually better than damage if it is penetrating armor. So it is very safe for them to build 30 ability pen. You need to counteract this. You need to have that ability armor as an option in your build just in case the enemy is going for a lot of penetration, because penetration, as you can see, is quite powerful. Not as powerful as basic armor, sorry, but it is powerful because it is a 1-to-1 ratio. If they pierce your armor, your ability armor, it's going to hurt. So there you guys go. That is some of the trends from basic armor and ability armor. And what are some kind of general things we can say about both? Now, if you are a tank and you want to have a balanced kind of tank regime against the enemy team, then there's a certain pattern that I think is probably best. If building a balanced tank, the pattern basic armor, ability armor, basic armor, health would be the most appropriate pattern until one has about 154, 189 total basic armor. Then you just need to go into less ability armor and just start to go for that true 1-to-1. I think that would be probably the most efficient while you're trying to build everything all at once. I think that two basic armor to 1 ability armor to 1 health as you are there in the early game, mid game, I think that's probably going to be maybe quite an appropriate pattern. Conclusion 2, after building 12 to 16 CP in the end game or 5 to 8 in that early game worth of basic armor, go 1-to-1 into basic armor and health. So after that first 5 to 8 CP's worth of basic armor in that early to mid game, then you can go 1-to-1 into armor and health. But for ability armor, you after that 8 to 12 CP's worth in the early game of health, then you can go 1-to-1 into ability armor and health. In the late game, you only need that 0 to 4 CP's worth of health, and then you can go into the ability armor. But in that early and mid game, you need that 8 to 12 CP's worth of health, and then you go into that 1-to-1 ability armor, 1 ability armor, 1 health, 1 ability armor, 1 health, etc. Now, generally speaking, 10 CP's worth of basic armor and health, so 5 health and 5 basic armor, is worth 1500 effective HP. That is after you have that base, So once you have this, once you are kind of like down here, adding in 5 and 5 gives you about 1500, effective total HP. It is quite efficient. That is quite efficient against basic attacks. As you can see, you get quite a bit of value there for your money. Now, ability armor though, conclusion number 5, 10 CP's worth of ability armor and health, 5 and 5, is worth about 900 effective HP. Because ability armor, you don't get as much for it per CP, it hurts you a little bit. Once you're past this little bit of a hump to start going down this diagonal, adding 5 health and 5 CP gives you only about 900 effective HP. So you can see that maybe we're incentivized to go a little bit more basic armor, but I think it's because abilities do so much damage and there's such high value that building too much, having ability armor be a little bit more valuable, probably breaks the game a little bit. Probably breaks the game if that were the case. So there you guys go. That is my breakdown of armor versus health. My goodness, it has been a roller coaster of a ride trying to figure this out, and I hope that this has been useful for you. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, please share it with the community, because this has certainly been mind-blowing for me for sure. If you like my content, or you simply found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you later. Nothing would make me happier than to help you out in the future. Till next time, like always, ladies and gentlemen, stay optimistic and positive.